about to start. We're just gonna wait a couple of minutes for everyone to join. So we can welcome everyone and we can start the discussion. We can start now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's CC-Webinar.Live keynote and panel discussion session, and thank you for joining. We would also like to thank Bankai Group for sponsoring today's CC-Webinar.Live session. And now I would like to pass on the microphone to Eric to introduce the keynote speaker and later on to moderate the panel session. For audience, if you have any questions, please do use the chat box option throughout the session. That's all from my side. Eric, over to you.
Thank you, Laura, and welcome everybody out there and being with us at the CC Webinar Live today, sponsored by the Bankai Group. The topic of today, ladies and gentlemen, is actually the telecom wholesale industry in the digital transformation era. So what are the new opportunities and challenges in the digital area for the market players? So to do this, I have a very esteemed panel here with me, and I would like to give them a quick minute to introduce themselves. So over to you, Chander. Welcome.
Chander, you're on mute.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the telecom friends across the globe, and thanks a lot, GCCM, to providing this platform. Myself, Chanderhas, Rana, I take care about the business development at group level with Bankai Group and been in industry from last 14 years, worked with the telecom organization from tower industry to network services to international carrier services. And it's my pleasure to be the part of this esteemed panel. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chander. And let's go over to you, to the Chief Commercial Officer of the Bankai Group, Mr. Aayush, please.
Thank you so much, Eric and Career Community, for bringing all of us together here. I'm Aayush Barot, Chief Commercial Officer at Bankai Group, and I have worked in various roles at Bankai Group, right from the executive level to the CXO level, and have had different opportunities across these 17 years rotating around the wholesale industry. So I'm eager for today's session to learn more with you guys and have questions from our wonderful audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Aayush. And despite the 17 years, you look every day younger and younger. Compliments for that, man. I don't know how you do it, but maybe one day you can tell me the secret. Thank you, Aayush, and thank you, Bankai Group. So let's go to Matthew, please.
I'm Matthew Wally. I'm director and co-founder of Ilex Content Strategies. We're a global B2B tech and telecoms agency supporting businesses with sales enablement, borderless PR, and inbound marketing. So we're operating everywhere from Singapore, India, the Gulf, Africa, Europe, and the Americas. And ultimately, we're helping companies to communicate their digital transformation and grow their bottom line.
Thank you, and great having you, Matthew. So over to you, Robert.
Oh, hello there, and thanks for the opportunity to support this event. My name is Robert Wallin. I'm a managing director for the telecom sector over at Natixis Bank. So we are providing anything from M&A advisory all the way to revolving credits if that is necessary, and we're supporting the infrastructure build out, particularly telecom sector, as you may understand. So anything from fiber to data centers, to subsea, satellite, towers, you name it. It's something that I've been doing for the last 30 plus years. but in various positions prior to joining Natixis in 2019.
Thank you, Robert, and good seeing you and having you again on one of our panels. So thank you so much for being there. So Tawfiq, over to you.
Thanks, Eric. Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys. Been a while. Not been traveling a lot or not at all. So I'm Tawfiq from IX Telecom. We're based in Malaysia, a virtual network operator based in Malaysia, but operating from a few different countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, even the USA, and recently Myanmar. 15 years for me in the industry, doing pretty much wholesale, and we're doing a lot of virtual network operator and also managed service provider, helping the telcos and enterprise out there. Hope to have a good discussion.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure we will have a great discussion having you on the panel as well. So thank you, Tawfiq. But last but not least, Adam, please join in.
Hi there, I'm Adam Godwin from Telstra. I run the wholesale business of Telstra for the EMEA region. So I look after lots and lots of lovely customers in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and look forward to catching up with many of you again soon. It's a pleasure to be on the panel this afternoon.
Thank you so much, an honor having you, Adam. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, telecom wholesale industry in the digital transformation era. Big words, but let's first listen to Chander and joined by Aayush later on their keynote presentation. So, Chander, if I may invite you to start your presentation. Take it away. Good luck, and we're more than eager to see what you have to share with us and the world out there. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks a lot. So as Eric has already mentioned, that it's such a heavy word when you talk about digital transformation, because we are on the cusp of history. Like there have been like four industry revolution, and now we are at a stage where certainly we can say that next 5-10 years going to be instrumental for global businesses as well as telecom as well. So our topic is very specific to telecom and more focus on wholesale side. So I will cover that in next 10-20 minutes. So we have already through our introductions. So agenda is like I will cover like these 4-5 points. Basically, what are the more or digital transformation trends in telecom industry, and specific to wholesale industry, what kind of initiative been taken and what is the impact of digital transformation on telecom and wholesale, and what kind of digital and automation initiative Bankai Group is taking since last 20 years. See, if you talk about digital transformation, the backbone of digital transformations are different kind of technology. And today, if you see globally, there is lots of buzz about 5G networks, IoT revolution, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, big data, cloudification, and everything. See, if we talk about mobile penetration today, it's already more than 80% globally. There are more than 5 billion plus mobile subscribers using different kind of services. But once 5G would be there, the mobile internet speed would be increased by 10 times. And when you add that mobile money and digital money into play, it's going to be more than 2 trillion economy that we are talking. So the 7 different technologies on the basis of that digital transformation is going to take shape in telecom industry are basically 5G network, IoT, and all these those being mentioned. The most closer to my heart, or what I feel is where the telecom companies will make lots of money and have more opportunity, would be IoT. Like today, we have somewhere around 5 billion mobile subscribers. Those are kind of, generate revenue for telecom operators. Imagine 50 billion connected devices in next 5 to 7 years, and then different kind of application running on them, and the kind of data that will generate. And you bring artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to the picture, the kind of analytics and database that telecom operators would be generating, and all the information that will help customers or companies to grow faster would be instrumental. So these 7 patterns are the backbone of the digital transformation threads that is happening in telecom industry. So just kind of summarizing it, for telecom, it would be 3-4-3 at the core. When you talk about digital transformation, there would be 3 mega trends, 4 big bets, and there would be 3 objectives for different CXO in different telecom operators. So mega trends those are coming out of this digital revolution is there would be explosion of connected devices. I have already mentioned that it would be more than 50 billion connected devices in next 5 to 7 years. Then there would be new technologies coming into, like we are talking about flying cars, we are talking about cognitive abilities with robots and everything. And the kind of content consumption that is going to increase is going to be 10x in next 5 to 7 years. So what would be the 4 big bets for operators? Definitely data without analytics or any decision making would be just simply nothing of use. So with more data, more analytics, it would be better digital customer experience. So telecom operators have instrumental time ahead where they can kind of make their customers more closer to them, and they can kind of give them better experience. Till now, we were talking about people-to-people communication when it was telecom, but now it would be people-to-people, people-to-thing, thing-to-thing, connected through IoT. So it's going to be a massive you can say ecosystem that is going to be there for next 20-30 years, and then opportunities would be humongous. Of course, to kind of bring that kind of digital transformation, we need to have software transformation as well. There would be more and more software defined networks, and networks of the future, of course 5G would be more flexible and would be more you can say more software driven. And the CEOs can take better decisions because they need to run faster, they need to change faster, and the growth would be instrumental for most of the telecom operators if they be kind of take correct decision on digital transformation side. So these are some patterns where you can see that where growth will lie. You are seeing that there is a kind of connectivity storm happening across the globe. Today, 80% of IP traffic globally is video traffic. And it is going to increase like 3 to 5 times in 5 to 7 years. Then everything is moving to cloud. You talk about today AWS, you talk about different platforms, they own somewhere around 50% of IP traffic today. And then everything would be on demand. Like gone are the days where you will have those long-term agreements where the pricing would be for years. Now it would be everything would be customized, and then the customer need everything at the click. So this way, if you see, digitalization will change the front end as well as the back end, and the process it would be driven by different automation instrument like API driven, or you can say a lot of blockchain or artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies will play into that. And which kind of wholesale players or rather telecom player will have an advantage? Of course, the carriers with global coverage, scale, and worldwide agreements will have an advantage, because when you talk about IoT network or anything, it has to be seamless, it has to be global. Second is many things are changing in last 5 to 7 years. If you will see global traffic patterns, it used to be voice driven, now it's more over data and video driven. So new business model will evolve, and wholesale industry, whosoever will kind of make themselves future ready, will have new avenues, and end-to-end kind of carriers covering from voice to data to DID to IoT services to will have more opportunities to grow in coming time. So this is kind of the paradigm shift that we are already seeing in last 5 to 7 years. And this is a paradigm that would be there for future. Like if you talk about traditional wholesale market, like 5 years back, in mature market segments, you see most of the focus was carrier to carrier. Now it's not only carrier to carrier, it's from carrier to carrier, it's from carrier to CSP, carrier to enterprise. Even if you talk about RFPs, RFP used to be, they used to float RFPs like 6 months you need to, there was timelines were like 6 months, now it's more real time, and pay as you grow schemes are there in market. And of course, market will move from humans to IoT or eSIM. So in each kind of wholesale player, be it he is a voice carrier, be it he is a capacity carrier, be it he is a submarine cable or into IP transit, you are seeing that business models are changing, and there have been a great level of transformation happening, and services are well diversified and moreover future centric. So these are some, you can say, digital economy success mantras, like these are well established pattern that which kind of carriers are kind of prevail in this digital transformation era. First is there would be end-to-end partnership ecosystem. Like now, everyone will play to its core. Like if you are a connectivity carrier, you will play on your strength. Somebody who is good with software, he will provide his services on the top of your platform or on the top of your services. Then of course, platform economy is going to take shape up. Already we are seeing so many CSPs like Twilios of the world, Nexmo, they are serving thousands of enterprises globally. So there been a paradigm shift, and already wholesale industry will move to platform model with more than 70 to 80% services being offered. Then organization would be more agile, and if we see traditional wholesale player, these are sales driven organizations, like salesmen or say account manager get into some deals, and everything is sales driven. But moving forward, it would be technology driven, more innovative organization with best of manpower will have an advantage over other organization. Then everything is going to be digital, from go to market to execution to operation to everything. So digital is the future, and digital go to market strategy will prevail over most of other traditional models. So now I will hand over this to my colleague Aayush. He will kind of brief that what kind of digital initiative Bankai Group is taking, a bit about our background and everything. Over to you, Aayush.
Thank you, Chander. And yes, continuing with what Chander said, over the years, we've been focusing heavily onto how to digitally convert the processes, the company operations, because very early in the days, our management team thought that if we are not able to digitalize ourselves or transform, the entire business model, it will become a very heavy elephant. Typically, I mean, right from being a voice carrier to getting into SMS to being a platform provider. Now, one of the leading players in the fintech market, Bankai Group overall has, emerged. And one of the main reasons is our in-house technology support that we've had over the years, and how we have converted the entire business model to automation. Be it, one of the prime examples is our online portal, Bridge Voice Pluto, which is, an entire digital voice DID platform where, especially during the pandemic, it really proved like a boon for us as business and for our customers, because, of different what you call limitations to traveling, to meeting people, to getting access of things. This platform proved very useful to SMEs, especially like we've got about 40,000 plus enterprises. They wanted, to help their employees to start working from home, and empower them with making calls or getting on, different extensions and all those things. So everything was possible because we were maybe ahead of times in terms of providing these kind of solutions. So that's the biggest edge as a company that we've got. I believe, or we believe as a group, that except for sales or meeting people, there should be no human touch in the entire flow of business, and it makes it very flawless. The fraud is pretty much under control. We go over, the possibility of human errors. So yeah, that's what we are, and that is our goal. We are aiming towards a lot of upcoming technologies, when it comes to the IoTs or, doing different things on the SMS side as well, which we will be disclosing in the days to come. So between 1989 and today, we've grown from a 5-people company to over 550 plus employees today, with over 150 tier 1 operators working with us, and various banks, aggregators, and of course our enterprise customers and application users have been the biggest strength that we have today, where we are able to, in these tough times also break through and assist our global operators and, do different kinds of deals. So that's in a crux our take on the digitalization or conversion of our business to moving more towards automation. On the next. Yeah, we've been always tried to be in the news, and with the help of people from the industry who have been choosing us over different nominations and choices over the years. Recently at Berlin, also at GCCM Berlin, we were awarded as the most innovative software provider. So yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful, and we are as a company thriving and aiming towards simple excellence. I think yeah, we're now open to questions and round of discussions that we would have with this great panelists sitting here. And yeah, Eric, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aayush, and very impressive presentation, and I think from the Bankai point of view, and absolutely with regards to the digital transformation on the point. So I don't think that there are, let's say, from the participants and I don't see any questions coming in from the chat box. Let me quickly check with our fellow panelists if there is any question with regards to the presentation from Bankai Group. Anybody? No, I must have been Chander and Aayush. Congrats! It has been all clear, and you set the pace. So let's invite the other gentlemen to the floor as well to get immediately into the panel discussion, and to set the pace. And maybe Robert, if I may start with you. I mean, the Bankai Group were just mentioning 3 megatrends. So more connected devices, new technologies, and increased content consumption. From your point of view, because you oversee the complete market, what are the new opportunities and challenges in the digital area for the market players, Robert? What would be your take on this one?
Important to hit the unmute button there. I think that if we're looking at it from ourselves as a financial institution, I can look at it partially on the basis on how do we look at our clients who may potentially want to borrow money, if we are looking at our corporate customers, and then of course I can look at it from the other side of the equation, which is all the people who are depositing monies with our parent, which is BPCE, which is the traditional banking activity. We are only doing corporate and investment banking. And what I can see is on our retail side of the business is that, yes, it's becoming less and less of shall I say, of human touch in the activities between our, shall I say, retail business customers and the bank offices, because all the new technologies that are being offered in terms of internet banking and for no other reason, even the mobile phones, which can manage the vast majority of your day-to-day business. So there we can see, and of course with that it becomes less issues of misunderstanding, etc., because you're being asked frequently if you're really sure you want to transfer some money here to whoever it is. But I can also see from our corporate and investment banking side is that this is increasing the demand in terms of capacity in the networks. And we are seeing a significant increase in demand from our telecom clients in terms of whether they are data center operators, whether they are fiber operators or tower operators, that there is a significant increase in CapEx requirement. And some of it is linked to the ramping up, so to speak, for a 5G service in the future. But a lot of it is just simply taking care of the increased data need that is coming. We have seen an increase between 15-20% in capacity needs for the last 2 years per year. And we are seeing a CapEx demand from our clients, which is far exceeding that. And if I'm looking at the plans for fiber builders in Europe, if I'm talking Europe here for a moment, and data centers, it's significant increase. And shall we say, the limiting factor is starting to be felt, not necessarily perhaps in the telecom network, but actually in power. We are seeing one country after the other starting to consider that, hang on for a moment, do I actually have power enough to do this? And on top of it, renewable power. So I see the demand, I see the request, but I'm also seeing bottlenecks starting to develop.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew, your overview in let's say a couple of sentences. How do you see the market? What's going on? Where are the challenges?
Sure. So there's three things that I really agree with the guys from Bankai mentioned: the automation, orchestration, and an end-to-end experience. And I think if you see what's happened over the last 18 months about how we're consuming services as consumers, I think that needs to be reflected in the carrier space. And as the team at Bankai highlighted, that they've had a lot of success with self-service models. To me, I look at connectivity. I think it needs to be like water in your house. Like connectivity, water is always on demand. It's always available, and you can water your lawn with it. You can boil pasta with it. You can have a shower, but it's always there, no matter what the application is. And I think that's where we're headed in the carrier space. There's a lot of steps that we need to take to get there, but ultimately, from my view, that's the kind of journey we're on, is to give. And when you think about IoT, enabling IoT or enabling services that we haven't even conceived of yet, we need to be able, as carriers need to be able to put that connectivity in the hands of innovators, and then provide that foundation for, to deliver applications and services that we haven't even conceived of yet. So that's where I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about digital transformation in the carrier space.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Taufik, from your point of view, what do you see? Where are the opportunities and challenges?
I think the biggest thing that struck me from Chandra's session was the explosion of connected devices. I think that struck it really well, because it's not the regular increase like we have seen before. It's an explosion, and when we say explosion, it's a sudden thing, and whether the providers are ready to cater this kind of demand, and or are they able to predict when does this explosion going to really happen? Because even though we are seeing a lot of increase recently, but I have a feeling that the real explosion has not happened yet, and the kind of thing that, like Robert mentioned, we should be thinking about the energy as well, not just the increase in bandwidth usage, whether our data centers or cloud providers can cope with this kind of electricity demand that could happen in a sudden. So that I think is something really striking, and it's happening all over the world, especially in Asia region.
Thank you so much. And staying in the Asian region and being as well a global player. Adam, from your point of view, so some words on let's say to set the pace where the opportunities and challenges are.
Look, the network's really right at the center of digital transformation. It's at the center of our transformation, but it's also at the center of our customers' transformation. This really isn't trivial. You know, if you talk about the vision that Matthew sort of painted of users being able to switch on and switch off services at an instant, that really is very hard to plan for, even at a very simple level. So say take a volcano in Japan and all the subsea traffic disappears from Japan, for example. Reroute all that traffic onto other networks, especially in the capacity that networks are all running at, it is not simple. It can't just happen automatically. There isn't the capacity there to take it. So we all as an industry haven't yet got to that vision, but obviously we are all building towards it. I'm starting to see Telstra itself building products that are by the minute and turned up in seconds, instead of you know, a 36-month contract and a big paper agreement. So we're on that journey. I think we're all doing it together, but there are clearly physical limitations. You know, power was mentioned. There's lots of others. Building and planning a cable or a satellite, you know, constellation is not a few month plan. It's actually absolutely a 15-year investment. So it's a journey, I think, that we're just at the beginning of.
Thank you, Adam. And talking about planning, try to get in the next 3 years or the next 4 years to get a ship who is putting the subsea cables down. I think you have to stand in line, right? I think that's that's what we're seeing, and that's what we're facing.
Definitely, that's definitely the case.
All right, Aayush, I mean, because one of the main trends was, let's say, the new technology. So Aayush, with your permission, let's go into that. How can new technologies help the organization to implement new business models and services? And what are we talking about? What do we have to look for? And maybe you have some examples for the audience.
Yeah, I mean, successful businesses don't view technology simply as you know, a way to automate processes, but it opens up new ways of doing business as well. Businesses, you know, are operating in an era where having a strong digital presence is also essential, not only for success, but at times for survival as well. Because if you're not seen, you don't sell. You know, lot of new technologies, like, for example, a few of them, blockchain, 5G, artificial intelligence, all these are coming up. In terms of, you know, examples or use cases, you know, we've got various of them, talking from the telecom business perspective, you know, that we are into right now, right from asset management to security. You know, it is very important where, you know, operators have remote cell towers sitting in different parts of the country, right from putting a small device onto it to, you know, just see the uptime and if it is functioning properly, to security when it comes to, you know, if there is any bargain or any issues with it, anti-theft solutions. A lot of, you know, I've seen 4G and 5G solution providers have come up with anti-theft technology. It is nothing but, you know, pure AI based solution with a small chip over the same platform that has been, you know, used over the years. So these are, you know, maybe small and simple examples of how, you know, the digital transformation in terms of our telecom industry is important. There are various other you know, use cases. For example, if you see 5G and IoT technologies, smart cities, where it helps in traffic management, environment monitoring, waste management, I'll just take another minute. Last week I was in Denmark, in Copenhagen. They have got such a big recycling plant. The problem with them is now they do not produce enough waste. So they are importing waste from the neighboring countries in order to recycle it there. Now, how do they do it? It's basically our blockchain-based systems based on which they can predict from a Finland or a Norway how to bring in the waste and what kind of quantities would they do and how will be the recycling output. Now that doesn't concern us as an industry, but that is what AI is playing a big role in transformation, and it is saving the environment. So right from environment, smart cities, to enriching our simple processes at work, it is a very important part, and maybe these are few of the use cases which come at top of my mind at this point.
Thank you, Matthew. Can you add something? How the new technologies help the organization to implement new business models and services? I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think there's one of the greatest things that we saw from COVID was from the kind of aftermath of COVID is the opportunity to explore. Like things are being disrupted. Things are not as they were. So we should all take this opportunity to explore new models and see where where we can push carrier business. A simple example just from one of our clients is self-service numbers. We've just created a platform. They can provision, people can reserve numbers that support Microsoft Operator Connect, for example. So just putting that power and control in the hands of the user, and then offering up new consumption models that directly lead to business outcomes. I think that's when we saw the launch of Microsoft Operator Connect. I think it was last week. We saw there's going to be a massive demand for numbers, and enterprises need numbers to support teams. So we've worked on offering a new experience and just pushing it a little bit further, not that much further, just a tiny bit further. But that's something that carriers can do, and look at tie their transformations back to business opportunities.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Taufik, from your point of view, what are the new revenue business models and services we see? I mean, at the global scale, evolving as a result of the increasing IoT connection, reaching billions of connections by 2025, if not 2024 already. So what do you have to say on that?
Yeah, before I go into that, I just want to add on to what Matt has been saying, because when he mentioned the changes due to COVID-19, what I'm saying is something very interesting, because it's not so much a disruption per se, but we have been starting to use things that is already there, but we have been neglecting all this while. For example, video conference, it's there all this while, but no one's really really using it that much, and people are spending thousands, millions on teleconference, telepresence solution, right? But when COVID happened, no one can travel. People are just using computer at home, they're fine with it, and millions of people are using it, and they're like, okay, this actually work. And it's been there, not like last year, but it's been there since 10-15 years ago. So I'm saying this like something very interesting, because we sort of rethinking the model. And going back to your question, I think these are the kind of thing that's changing. Not just people trying to think of the new revenue business model, but looking back at what we already have and enhancing it, or really looking at something that we have just neglected before. It's like, this might not be working, but actually it does in some way. So I think that part is really interesting. And because of the lot of increase in bandwidth and the usage, I'm seeing a lot more AI, RPA gonna be the business gonna be driven by all of this, lot of robotics, and especially integration. A lot of integration between carriers, between devices, between equipment, and these are the kind of thing that really will change the way the new business model, or the way business being operated, the way business owners will rethink how to generate income and how to actually calculate their net profit from the services and from the capex and stuff.
Okay, thank you. Chandra, you want to bump in here? This is because the increasing IoT connections, you know, it's going bananas, and it's increasing hugely. So what will we see on services and maybe new business models arising from that?
See, Eric, if you talk about IoT, I think this is a second opportunity for telecom industry as a whole. Like 15 years back, when networks were not that sturdy, mobile operators across the globe built that connectivity. Everybody was having that internet at their palm, and who took the advantage? It's OTT and giants like, you know, Amazon of the world, e-commerce companies, or you know, giants like Google, Facebook. They got, like, this is the moment for telecom operators where they can move from, like, they've been called like dumb pipe, you know, dumb pipe. So from dumb pipe to digital enabler. So this is an instrumental opportunity for them. So when you talk about like IoT, you are going to have billions of devices and doing lots of stuff, collecting so much information. Today you talk about data is the new oil. Which industry got maximum data of any human being? It's telecom industry in the form of XDR, CDR, your location in HLR. Did we made leverage out of that? No. So somewhere I feel once IoT would be there, the kind of data telecom industry as a whole is going to have. Only thing we need to do is we need to be future ready. We need to compete on digitalization with these new age technology companies like Amazon, Facebook, or all that. We need to get into decision making. Customer experience we are already giving at the back end. We need to drive the customers and enterprises for the decision making. So that data has to be kind of analyzed, and we need to be the part of value chain when it comes to customer buying patterns or customer buying behavior. When it comes to case study, every industry would be touched by IoT, from infrastructure to telecom to health, to you name any industry. Opportunities would be everywhere. But the only concern that for telecom as an industry is 10 years down the line, it should not happen that we remain dumb pipes. We need to be digital enabler. That's it.
So let's change that and let's move ahead because otherwise, you know, we're already behind, right? I mean, the operators, the carriers. So wake up call is has been there already, and it's constantly there. So let's move on. Now on the investment sides, and Robert, if I may come to you. I mean, you set already a pace over there. How do you think can companies support a digital transition through new investments in new technologies to meet demand and offer connectivity services?
Yeah. Well, I to come back to what was just said here about for Chanderhas, which is basically how to avoid becoming, shall we say, a dumb pipe. And I think one of the big changes that has been over the last 5-10 years is that we have seen the advent of all these infra companies that are building up the infrastructure, and that of course reduces the amount of money that the telecom operators need to spend on the infrastructure, and allows them to spend more time on providing services, and could therefore be in a position to take advantage of that. Because I mean, if eventually you are struggling to make your capex budget last, either to build another couple of kilometers or more towers or more data centers or increase your services, well, if you don't have the infrastructure, you cannot provide any service anyway. So one of the opportunities that are being sort of offered now to the telecom operators is that, okay, if someone else is paying for your infrastructure through an infraco, then you're running out of excuses or not spending money on actually developing services that you can sell to the customers. And this is happening all over. I mean, whether it is a subsea cable, whether it is a fiber, terrestrial fiber, data center, or whether it is a tower, these are all allowing the operators to actually focus on providing services for which we hopefully will remember them.
Okay, thank you. So Adam, which are the new partnership models, for instance, between the cable operators? I mean, I know you put down and invest a huge amount of money in sea cables and cables. So Adam, where do you see possible new partnership models between the cable operators, terrestrial and or subsea cable?
Yeah, look, I think first of all, going back to what Robert mentioned, you know, I think Telstra will see different investment models. You know, for a company like us that's been, you know, a big incumbent operator, we will see different investment models for different parts of our business in the future. I think that's on the way for us and many other telecoms operators. Some of the time horizons are very different to the different types of you know, of returns, and obviously investors are looking for different returns from different types of asset. So I think that's very possible. I mean, partnerships are absolutely critical in getting cables built, and you know, all the partners need to put in expertise. Telstra's expertise is really Asia Pac. We've got a long history, as you mentioned, of subsea cables. We've obviously got terrestrial networks and mobile networks as well. But the subsea cables is the bit of the business that I know best. And yeah, we're making lots of investments. OTT partnerships have been key, but we've been seeing carrier partnerships still as well. We've been doing some individual investments too. It all depends. You know, in country, I think the very big consortiums that we've done in the past are harder to do. Just getting 16 parties to agree on anything is hard. But I think you know, there's definitely partnership models there, and based on the expertise that you bring to the table.
Thank you, Matthew. Where do you see maybe new partnership models occur, or do you have, let's say, did you see already some examples?
Yeah, just my view is kind of coming back from more of the enterprise focused business, but just looking at building partner ecosystems to target verticals. I think that's going to be absolutely massive. That has not been the focus of enough B2B telco organizations. It needs to be shaping solutions that target the specific needs of industry. Now, we've seen that a little bit in you know, oil and gas and financial services, but I think there's a massive amount of work that telcos can do in partnering with different skill sets to build solutions and then present them out. Otherwise, you know, I think there's a big move from generic telco services to specific vertical solutions, and that's where if I was running a telco, that's where I'd want to focus, because the enterprise has a tremendous amount of money to spend on these services. They're looking for advice, and telcos have the expertise in the underlying foundation in the network, but they have the opportunity to use partnership to layer on top those vertical specific capabilities and package them up and present them out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so gentlemen, if you agree, and also looking at the time, we need to move ahead a little bit. I want to go to, let's say, the wholesale business side of it. So Chander, maybe you can jump in. What is the scope of digital innovation in the traditional wholesale business, and how can it improve the existing value chain? I mean, you tipped on it already a little bit, but maybe you can enlighten us a little bit.
You see, if you see traditional wholesale model, like it's a mid-sized wholesale carrier is connected with more than 1,000 plus carriers or more than 50 plus operators. A carrier of our size is kind of connected with each and every country, barring like some niche countries. So the amount of information that is available and the size and scale of our network is huge. So when it comes to digital transformation, of course, like those traditional repetitive tasks need to be kind of automated, like customers need to be plug and play kind of mode. Like if there is any enterprise customer in traditional wholesale business, like you trade minutes, you trade SMS or all that. But when you want to serve a CSP, you want to serve any enterprise, your system should be robust. It should be digitally at a level where it can match up with these new age platform companies. So there are lots of technologies that you can kind of imbibe in your system, like blockchain. Like you talk about interconnect settlement processes with blockchain, labeling them for each block in blockchain. You can have future ready, you can say live agreement with operators. So live records you can have in agreements, or invoices or financial thing can be recorded online. And then on traditional voice side, you are seeing that carriers are becoming more diversified. They are using lots of APIs. So now with one click, you should have voice, SMS, DID services, top up and everything. So the scope for digitalization in initial years is huge, but the real boom will start in next 5-7 years. Like 20 years back, international voice was very regulated. It was very tough to give the connectivity across the globe. What I feel, with more freedom on regulation side with mobile money, I feel the real growth sector for most of the wholesale or carrier industry would be remittance. Microcredit or microfinance can be a big market to catch up if carriers are ready with digital infrastructure.
Yeah, that's exactly why we see, let's say, the fintech booming as they are, and just looking at the continent of Africa, it is enormous, and not only connect the unconnected, but also make sure that everybody who does not have the access to a bank account, can have everything he wants on his mobile device. So still a lot of things to do and a long way to go, but we need to hurry up, and especially the operators, because otherwise other people who are a bit more agile and a bit more efficient, they pass us where we want, unfortunately. So we need to move on. So Tovik, for you, same questions. What is the scope of digital information in the traditional wholesale industry, and how can we improve the existing value chain?
I think similar to Chanderhas, I like when he's talking, he's bringing up a lot of new ideas, like talking about the crypto blockchain kind of things. Like when a lot of people that previously, you mentioned, Eric, that was not connected is now connected. For the first time they find out about internet. I mean, that sounds weird for some people, but in a lot of part of the world, there are a lot of people who did not get connected before, and now with the 5G and bigger expansion of 4G, getting to the real max potential of the 4G, we are not relying much on the physical cables anymore. So a lot of people that was previously not connected are now seeing potential. We're talking about digital banking. Right, not the regular e-commerce banking. It's like digital banking, the infrastructure and the concept of banking itself has transformed, and all of this will change the way and the people consume bandwidth, consume traffic. For like previously, people used for work purpose, for social media, a lot of videos, like 80% traffic are videos. So these are the normal thing, but there are a lot of other things, even as simple as transaction. People are using daily transaction using digital, and they're moving away from the physical currencies, physical money. Everything will be digital. So that is very massive. And that will change a lot of things, because everyday interaction digital first, instead of digital as just an options. So I think that's how things will be.
Okay, thank you. Aayush, if I may come to you. So what kind of digital initiatives Global Wholesale Carrier Services experiencing, and the impact on the industry overall?
The changes that have come across, firstly, the biggest impact is, has moved out the non-serious players out of the market because of the digitalization, information flow, close communities like, one of them, GLF, the Global Leaders Forum, which, Bankai is a part of, and all the recognized carriers internationally are. This kind of information flow has been, very important in terms of helping the carrier industry to survive, grow, and consolidate, all put together. And, beyond that, the systems, like we already, discussed. But one area, I think I'll jump to a previous question, which I thought, would be interesting to share. As a caution for the investment in the digital transformation is, a lot of companies, are investing into digital transformation. You will be, surprised that last year we had close to $1.3 trillion invested globally into digital transformation, out of which $900 billion have gone down the drain. Companies and management also have to be logical that, in these times, just not to, get into the digital transformation, try to turn things around, because that would, disrupt the sound business which is running. But three important factors that they should be looking at in order to, get firstly the employees confident that, they are not going to lose their jobs, or, try to, find out ways for it, align their business strategy, because that again is a very, very big gap between your business strategy and what, what you're trying to digitize. Because today, all the vendors in the market are, be it for telcos or carriers to any industry, there are tons of solutions coming into place, but you should know what exactly you want to invest into. And third is, leveraging the internal resources as well, because that again becomes a very important key when you're trying to, maybe just implement a simple ERP or a different system. So the resistance is very high, and because of which a lot of companies do not find the right worth of the transformation. So, that I think is a crucial area when we are all talking about digital transformation. We should be looking at this and, trying to save the overall investments that is going. And it has killed, don't want to give names, but it has killed number of companies, who are doing well or more than well. And because of all these digital transformation activities, unthoughtfulness of their respective managements has, put this entire thing into drain. So that one area is, I think, very crucial when we are talking about all these transformations.
Thank you, Robert. Quickly, can you jump in? Being here, let's say in this very extensive panel, but I can say the guy with the longest financial history and maybe experience of all of us. Do you agree? Are we spending too much money, or are we misspending it? Do we spending it wrong on the digital transformation? What do you see?
I think, as always, when it comes to making investments, it is a question on what it is that you're targeting to improve. If it is efficiency, if it is increasing your margins, basically, contrary to what you mentioned before, reducing the OPEX. You're talking about automation, etc. And unless you are in a growing market, that means redundancies. It's an unfortunate fact of life. But there is no need why we shouldn't be able to make investments to grow the market and grow the revenues, and therefore be able to sort of reallocate the resources we already have within our organizations. If you are in a relatively slow-moving market like what we're having here in Europe, most of the automation that has been taking place over the last 20 years have had quite dramatic effects on the number of employees. If you just look at the large telcos around Europe, and you will see the number of employees since we moved over to IP. So that's one element, but these, it's just that we need to put them into different operations. And that's what we were discussing earlier when we were said, okay, if you as a telco operator do no longer need to spend so much money on your infra capex, you can actually allocate that to providing new services and better services, which will allow you to sort of to become a revenue earner on the top side of your operations rather than at the bottom side of your operations. It also solves the problem in terms of having overcapacity, because if you are able to sell your sort of excess capacity to more than one service provider, then it is easier for you to make that additional investment in your capacity from the beginning. So we can see a lot of advantages, or a slightly more streamlined operation. But a reduction in the number of operators, because you may have one or two infra companies taking care of one particular country or region, that will then free up people from those operations to other things. And I mean, Telstra is a good example. I mean, there's a lot of transformation taking place in APAC, and all the different countries are behaving in a different manner. And we see a lot of sort of some utilizations of infrastructure assets in that region coming up, similarly to what we have seen happening in Americas and Europe subsequently.
Okay, thank you. Well, gentlemen, and Tawfiq, maybe I can, if you allow me, I would like to start with you. Looking, let's say, at the near future and trying to scoping it. What is the outlook for the future trends, and maybe even consumption trends of our bandwidth hungry consumers we are, and which will be there even more and more hungry in the future? Can you scope a little bit the future? What will happen?
I mean, like I mentioned before, the explosion is really the key. That makes it really difficult for any carriers. I think even maybe for even AI to really predict how consumption will be, because these are the things that we have not seen before. Even when companies are agile enough, flexible enough, it's really hard for them to really gauge the kind of bandwidth that is really going to be consumed within the next, like I think Chanderhas mentioned, the next 5 to 7 years. So what I think is, right now we are seeing like the numbers of traffic being driven by videos. So what else? What will be the next driver of this growth? I don't think we have seen it yet. Because we might not have predicted that many consumption from videos alone 5 years ago. It just happened. So talking about 5-7 years in the future, I'm thinking it's something else. It's something interesting, and it's something that hard for me to really put in even words.
Nobody has the crystal ball, and even holograms and whatever, but and for instance AI, but I mean, nobody has the crystal ball. So thank you. If I may go to you, Adam, what do you see happening? What do you expect?
In terms of our own industry, there's going to be a lot more automation. So that means, with us at Telstra, automating our own system. So, paper order forms, no longer paper. So you start off with scanning those, or, no longer spreadsheets. They're all in our automated system to start with. So they're very simple things. Moving right along to, more end state solutions like a blockchain. Protocols are coming along very well, and things like Ether on things like proof of location, things that have been long-term telco issues like location. We are getting a lot closer to solving those and being able to pass that information relatively frictionlessly between ourselves. I think there are some big opportunities there. My team, for example, generate 5,000 quotes a month. Fairly typically, we could automate a lot of those if we had a lot of the information flow seamlessly between ourselves. those are some of the industry type solutions. I think there's lots of areas where we can, you know, grow our businesses when we start to look at AI and using the information that we have already in our network together with our customers to make better decisions. You know, an example of one of those for one of our healthcare customers was just tracking the devices that they actually have already in the hospital, and knowing their location instantly was more than enough to pay for that, getting the rollout of all the IoT to support that. So it's interesting that you know, it's things like those that are life-saving potentially, that are relatively simple, and we already have that information.
Okay, thank you. Chander, your future outlook.
So it's very tough to predict about the future or an industry basically to IoT that is growing at 50 to 70% year on year. The only thing that I can predict is like one connected car will consume around 15 GB of data a day just to be functional. So now you can imagine the kind of bandwidth consumption that is going to be there in a connected world 5 to 7 years from now. When world moved from 3G to 4G, the average data consumption increased 70% year on year. And you talk about developing world, it was like X, always 2X, 3X in that ratio. So once you will be having 5G networks, those are 10 to 100 times faster than existing 4G. And you will have that kind of ecosystem, like 10 or 20 times machines connected with the network. Nobody can imagine the kind of data we call it big data right now. I feel it's just the start. Like after 10 years, we will realize how big is the big data. So it's all about predictions and everything. So let us not predict anything right now. It would be good, like maybe in 2023, we again come to we kind of again assemble all these panelists, and then we decide that how were our predictions and how the things going on, right?
Thank you, Chander. Robert, from your side, what do you see? What do you expect to come?
Well, I have, as I spent an awful lot of time working for the vendor side, I mean, in the telecom industry, it takes a long time from laboratory to commercial use of all things that we figure out in terms of engineering, etc. I think that we will be still quite busy improving the infrastructure for the next couple of years, simply to be able to do everything that we think is technically possible with our networks. But if you're looking at the lag in building out of fiber backbone in large portions of the world, there is a lot that needs to be done before we can actually put our networks to the full capacity of what we should be able to do. So I think 2022 will be the year where most of the expansion will be taking place. And if we're looking at the business plans of all our clients, we are seeing CapEx programs going out for 2-3 years, doubling the sort of investments that has been made up to date. So I think that's something we need to look for.
Okay, thank you so much. Matthew, what do you see out there?
Yeah, I just want to build on something that Aayush said. I think there's an opportunity for carriers to communicate their transformation. The tech is super important, but I think over the next 2 to 3 years, it's how they communicate the innovation happening within their business, how they communicate that to customers is going to be super, super important. Too often in the carrier business, that's kind of overlooked. They do all the hard work behind the scenes, but forget to explain it to their customers. So I think that, over the next couple of years, there needs to put some effort into taking the customer on the journey with them. If you're doing all this digital transformation internally, you should be bringing that customer along on your digital transformation journey and making sure that they maximize the value of their relationship with the carrier.
A very good point and a very valid point, because indeed it has been forgotten many times, and looking at the operators, some will still keep on forgetting this. Very good point. Thank you for that, Matthew. Aayush, of course, I come to you for the last famous words. Where do you see the future going? What is your outlook, and especially from the Bankai Group? And do you make sure that you communicate this to your customers? Because that's what Matthew just mentioned.
Absolutely. So customers, internal and external, both are important, as I mentioned earlier. Future, again, Chander and I have had big debates over the last 2 nights on this discussion, since especially when we are going to come here, trying to learn, understand, brainstorm. But truly, there's very limited that we can say, and there's unlimited possibilities that we all have examples for, right from transportation digitalization to navigation to travel. And I mean, every day we are coming across new opportunities. But cutting it short, our group, our aim as a group, is to maximize in limited fields that we are working on. You as a carrier or as a financial or fintech company cannot go everywhere, but we are currently working on mastering our internal processes, our internal way of aligning our business strategies to the changes, and then working it out based on the customer needs in the sectors in which we are working on. And internet, bursting of the users, connected devices. I think by 2023 it is estimated that almost 66% of our global population will be digitally connected, either through one or several devices, and that itself is a big era of possibility in itself. And each one of us here, all the honored respected panelists and the companies that we are working on, I think all of us are working towards contributing a little bit to make sure that out of that connected device, we as a company and as a community make most out of it in terms of rendering services and of course business. So that's my position.
Thank you very much, Aayush, and ladies and gentlemen, with those famous last words of Aayush, we come to an end of this session. We run a little bit over time, but again, with these guys being on the panel, I mean, what can we do? They have so much to tell us. They have so much to share with us, and we at the Carry community are more than happy to be the platform to do that for you out there. So thank you very much, and I would especially want to thank Adam, Tofik, Robert, Matthew, Chander, and last but not least, Aayush and the Bankai Group for hosting and sponsoring it. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. For the audience, thank you so much. We were discussing today the telecom wholesale industry in the digital transformation era, and we looked at the challenges, the trends, and the opportunities, and the financial impact of it, and where you should go and what you should not do. So. For me, it's ciao for now. I thank you so much. Hope to see you next time. Stay tuned with the Carry community and panels. Thank you so much, and over to you, Laura. Back to the studio. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Bye-bye. Thank you, Eric. Dear all, we are at the end of this webinar session, and I would like to thank today's speakers, Aayush and Chanderhas, for the wonderful presentation, our panelists for sharing their knowledge, and our audience for participating and listening. This panel will be soon available to watch on CC Media portal. We are looking forward to welcoming you in both physical and virtual events this year. For more information, please visit our events portal. If you're interested in supporting and sponsoring one of our future branded webinars, contact CC team. For all updates and fresh content, follow us on our 4 social media channels. Also, subscribe to our Telegram news channel to receive exclusive invitations to CC Webinar Live sessions. That's all for today. Goodbye and take care.